Hello YouTube, I'm News Center Maine meteorologist Jason Nappy. Let's track the storm tonight at 11 o'clock. Here comes the first band of snow right into the White Mountains of New Hampshire and starting to come over the border quickly into the western mountains tonight. And so does the rain. Southern Maine gets it first here. These light greens not going to be incredibly heavy until the yellows and oranges get here. From that area of low pressure, that's going to move very quickly in the overnight while you're sleeping. But I'll stop it at 3 o'clock. While you are sleeping, it is snowing heavily in the western mountains, heading up to the northern highlands, and it's raining heavily in the Oxford Hills, back towards central portion of the lakes region of New Hampshire, and also up mid-coast, Penobscot Bay, starting to see that wind drive all that rain and that coastal flooding. Remember, 10 o'clock or so in the morning is high tide. Astronomically, we're going to have some issues. But at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's still raining here over towards the western mountains where it's snowing and raining heavily in the foothills. Eventually, this storm gets pulled inland. Instead of being a typical coastal low, it goes from a coastal low to all the way up into northern Maine. And by 11 o'clock, things dry out quickly here. So I'm going to now talk about the storm in more detail. How much rain, how much snow, how much wind. You can follow along on the socials if you'd like. Here's what you need to know. Headlines with the storm. Heavy rain, wind, coastal flooding, especially tomorrow morning around high tide. Rainfall about 1 inch plus for a good chunk of the state. Mountain snow about 3,000 feet up in elevation because there's just not a cold pool of air like we had with the last storm. Not a never-ending supply, really. So we're going to have the warm air wind in a big way for this storm. And power outages, 35 to topping out to 60 miles per hour, immediate coastline, where we're going to have a low-level jet come streaming through in the overnight, early tomorrow morning. That's going to transport that wind down to the ground level and crank up those wind gusts around 60 miles an hour. Now, rainfall 1 to 2 inches. You got obviously limbs, you got trees, still have some leaves on them, could have some issues. This will not be a widespread thing, but it definitely will be for sure a storm that has a big quick hit to it. Now, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight, you see here in New Hampshire, back towards Maine, all quiet, and then quickly, just in that 7-8 hour period, the storm really gets cranking here. You have the southeast facing slopes here of the western mountains where you get that upslope, so just wring out that precip, and I expect heavy rain there and also heavy rain and wind along the coastline. Snow being overtaken by rain all the way up in the crown of Maine. That's how warm it's going to get in Caribou, to 33 degrees, 39 in Caribou in the afternoon. So eventually, this is going to be more warm and wet than white by winter standards here. I know we're not technically in winter yet, but this is a winter storm. It's got snow with it. And then we go to a westerly breeze Monday night to dry things out. As you see here, into Monday night, all clear. So no problems traveling at all, getting back from work for the most part. It's going to work, especially about Lewiston, Auburn, Augusta north tomorrow, where you're going to have those issues early on in the morning for the rush hour commute. And then into Tuesday afternoon, a few snowflakes around, we get a lot colder. So let's break down the snow map / rain / wind / coastal flooding here, because we've got a low pressure system about 996 millibars, okay, that's going to get pulled north. 4 to 6 inches of snow, Boundary Plateau, North Woods, Central and Northern Highlands start to go less amounts here because the warm air is going to win out sooner there. Heavy rain, foothills, lakes region, back towards down east. And I have a red shade I put here, mid-coast to down east. That is for the high wind and coastal flooding, southern coast, around 10:30 in the morning. Astronomically, if we have a high tide, around, I think it's around 10 feet around Portland, and then Bar Harbor, it's closer to about 13 or 14 feet, if I'm not mistaken, but it is going to be about 1 foot in the normal trouble areas where you have the inundation, so be prepared for that. Now, as far as the rainfall goes, a lot less western mountains, northern highlands, and north woods because you obviously have snow there. 1 to 2 inches, though, big chunk of the area from north of Augusta over towards even close to Waterville, down to Lewiston, Auburn, Portland, Sanford, York, Wells, Kennebunk, Scarborough, and then a ½ inch to 1 inch down east. Then I'm going to stop it here and show you the wind at 4 o'clock in the morning while you're sleeping. This could wake you up because it will be howling out of the southeast, Portland, Wiscasset, Rockland. This is tropical storm force. Now, this is Maine. We're used to storms like this. This is not going to break any records. It won't go down in the record books. But you see here briefly at 6 in the morning, wind gust here in the models picking up 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's clearly strong tropical storm force due south. So obviously it's a wind-driven rain coming up through the mid-coast and down east. But it's going to shut off very quickly here. Notice here the backside, only 19 miles an hour in Lewiston as we get through the day. So all in all, tomorrow, once we get done with like the morning to mid-morning time, especially in southern Maine, very nice day except for the wind. You're going to see 50s pop up in Eastport, which after a weekend of 30s to even 40s for highs, we'll take it, right? Because obviously December is right around the corner. So I appreciate you following along, joining the discussion on YouTube, Instagram. You can find me on TikTok, pretty much the same name there, Pizza Weatherman, or on the Facebook page, best place to reach me. Have a good night with the storm, and let me know if you have any storm reports. Do it safely, please, and we'll talk to you next time.